Well, back here at the ballpark, fans doing everything they can to stay into this game. And I'll tell you what, even though Everett's got a 4-0 lead, you walk around the CD Bowl and nobody seems to care. They're just happy to be at the ballpark on a Saturday night. And we're so glad that you're checking in on us right here at Sportsnet Pacific. I'm Rob Fai. That is Ricky Romero to my right. Caroline Frolic also working her way through the stadium, looking for the next big story here at the ballpark. And I'll tell you, this one thing that Vancouver's got right in the heart of their city is something that I'm so glad that we're letting the rest of Canada see for the first time this season here on Sportsnet Pacific. And you look at those fans, they come out in droves, 6,413 every single night. And the Canadians front office has done such a good job at making this a safe and all-inclusive environment. And win or lose, it's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. Grant Townsend's out for his third inning of work, even though beyond the left field fence, Alex Nolan is starting to get loose. First pitch to Patrick Frick is swung out and missed. Count goes to 0-1. We have already had a couple of requests for it, so we will ask you, if you're on social media, if you're at Twitter, or even if you just want to text in, it's time for the Ask Ricky segment. 0-1. Blow it away, 1-1. You can go at Ricky Rowe. You can go at Rob Fai, at Van Canadians, whatever you want, any way that you can get the questions. You got Ricky Romero here for the next couple of hours. You can ask him about the current Blue Jays, the past Blue Jays. You can ask him about anything you want. He travels across Canada. Pitch is low, and the count goes to 2-1. And we had some good submissions last time through.
Yeah, we did. We had some fun with it. It was pretty cool.
So again, any questions that you have when it comes to Ricky Romero from a baseball perspective or cooking perspective or women's soccer perspective, we're all in. 2-1 is a breaking pitch that was not swung on by Frick, and the count now goes to 3-1 strike.
Townsend's just fighting himself. You can just tell it's been a little bit of a grind these last few innings, and you can just see he's a little bit rushed. It's not as sharp as he's been the past few games where he's been on TV, and he's just fighting himself more than anything. Frustration starting to come in, so it's just taking it slow and bringing it back down a notch instead of trying to overthrow. You can just see he's trying to overthrow. Get back down, get a nice little ground ball here, double play, and get him back on track.
Yeah, the double play is key here. It'd be real nice and momentum shifting if the Canadians can have something go their way. You'll see the middle infielders, De Los Santos and Morris, cheat towards the bag at second a bit as the first pitch is fouled off. Count goes to 0-1. Well, don't forget, this inning is brought to you by our good friends at East Van Brewing Company. East Van Brewing Company, our neighborhood, your beer. Tingelstad struck out swinging in his only plate appearance in this game back in the first. Pitch misses away. The count goes to 1-1. I find, and you mentioned it, Ricky, a little bit earlier about the shoulder and how he's leaving himself open a bit, because a lot of the pitches, be they left-handed hitters or right-handed hitters, to the lefties it's missing up and away, to the righties it's missing up and in.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens when you start rushing your delivery. And it's tough when you can't spot your fastball and your breaking ball gets taken away by the hitters. They're like, well, let's let him establish his fastball, and if he keeps missing with his fastball, we'll give him that slider, that nasty slider for a strike. But we'll just wait till he makes a mistake up in the zone with that fastball, and you can tell the Aquasox have just come out and taken advantage of those situations right there.
There's that runner at first as the pitch is in for a strike, and now the count balances at 2-2. Townsend in this sequence has just stubbornly tried to stay on the outer third of the plate, and he's not getting the call. And on the pitch that made it 2-1, you could see the frustration in his face, and that he wants that pitch, and he's just going to have to make the adjustment if he's going to truly be able to do this. 2 balls and 2 strikes. I think they call that adapting to the moment. Morris, the second baseman, at a crouch. Right holding on to the runner at first. 2-2's on its way, and it's low. Runners breaking for second. Throw down to second's going to be a little bit late. The ball just got a little too far from Philip Clark. And now all of a sudden the wild pitch not only brings the count full, but it puts the runner at second base. He's got a good arm. Boy, Philip Clark, he's one of those catchers that no matter the situation, and he threw out a couple of Everett Aquasox in the series opener as well. Just one of those guys that you just don't want to test unless you know to be able to make it.
Leader. That's just what you see right away in him. Just leader out there. It's exactly what you want behind the plate.
3-2 with nobody out here at the top of the third. Pitch on its way. He's hit just under the glove of Brett Wright. Into shallow right it goes. It will be a base hit, which will be the 6th of the afternoon for the Everett Aquasox. And it's going to put a runner at first and a runner at third. And there's nobody out of the Everett Aquasox, like a shark that just sent it a little blood in the water. Have runners on the corners yet again. And these are not the waters that you want to swim in. Cade Marlowe. And on deck, Robert Perez. Both these guys 1 for 1. Both these guys with a run scored in the second. And you got to wonder how much longer the leash is here tonight on the starter for the Canadians, Grant Townsend.
Sometimes it's just one of those nights, Rob, out there, honestly. It's just one of those nights, but you're still trying to go out there and grind through this outing and minimize the damage. That's the biggest thing at this point. Just minimize it as much as you can.
Pitch misses outside, 1-0. And you can see Canadians manager Casey Candell in the third base dugout talking with the pitching coach Dmitry Kokoris about what the game plan is here over the next handful of pitches. I've got to assume at this point they are starting to map out their exit strategy. Alex Nolan was warming up earlier. And the pitch at the knees called for a strike, and it goes to 1-1. My first Ask Ricky comes from right side 74. He says, Rob, a few weeks ago, I asked what Ricky thought of Bo Bichette's rants from Buffalo that he deserved to be up with the big club. So fast forward, what does Ricky think about Bo, and was he able to walk the talk?
Well, I knew it from seeing his numbers in the minors that he was going to play in the big leagues. What I said in our last telecast was more, there's two guys that are there in Galvis and Sogart that are doing a pretty good job. Obviously, yeah, he's walking the walk and he's doing a tremendous job. I love it. I love watching them succeed. But I was just saying, be patient. His time is going to come. And it did.
He's been pretty good.
What do you think?
What do I think? The one thing that I notice is you can sometimes tell whose kids have parents who are major leaguers.
Yeah.
There's just a difference in front of the camera and the way that they conduct themselves. You can tell, and I saw that a couple of years ago with Casey Clemens, and Bo is definitely camera ready. 1-2 is a pitch that is fouled off, still 1-2. And I say that as a positive. I don't say that as a negative. Some guys, they look like deers in headlights. They get to the major leagues, and it takes them a couple of weeks. Like even Noah Syndergaard, when he finally got called up to the major leagues, just wasn't polished. But Bo Bichette is extremely polished for a guy that's just put his foot into the water for the first time.
100%. And like I said, they're exciting. They're fun to watch. And hey, just take a seat and enjoy the ride, because it's going to be a fun one.
That's the pitch that Townsend's been looking for. He finally gets it on Cade Marlowe. It is strikeout number 5 for Townsend. And isn't that something? A pitch that he has been knocking and knocking and knocking on the door. It's going to be the final one that he throws in this baseball game, but he gets the end result. So with 1 out here in the top of the third, it will be exit for Grant Townsend as he makes his way off the field. He's going to leave a couple of the proverbial ducks on the pond, and here comes the Rogers bullpen cart. And inside, chauffeured right to the infield, is Burlington, Ontario native, the right-hander Alex Nolan, who also tips his drivers every once in a while. So Nolan comes in at the number 33, and he's got a little bit of a mess to clean up, but Nolan is a very, very good ground ball pitcher. Throws a real heavy fastball, keeps the ball down in the zone, and the recipe from Casey Candell and the Black Jacket is simple. Get me a ground ball that can get us to the bottom of the third.
Casey, what a great guy, man. Oh, I've gotten a chance to get to know him more and more as I've come up here and done these games. And man, what an awesome just baseball mind. If you ever have a chance to just sit down and have a conversation with him, it's pretty awesome. Just because he's so laid back but at the same time he expects his guys to come out and work. But just the stories are pretty awesome out of him. So
his mom, named Helen, who's no longer with us, played in the professional ranks back when it was the likes of the Rockford Peaches.
Really?
And, you know, the League of Their Own was
Yeah.
actually based off of, you know, not just his mom, but that legion of women that took to the professional circuit for a couple of years. And he still credits her with one of the greatest lines that I've ever heard. And he says, "It doesn't cost you anything to work hard." And I remember it was one of the first things that Casey Candell said to me, and everybody talked about his humor and how great a guy he was, and all things that ring true. But it was just those little tidbits of wisdom that I said, you know what? He's the kind of guy that a player would want to be around.
100%, especially at this level. You got to realize that at this level, you get a lot of young kids that deer in headlights that don't know what's going on. They're first time being professional baseball players, and I think that's the perfect guy for them to be able to lead a young group, because he keeps it loose and he lets you go out there and just play your game more than anything.
I think so. And it's an interesting conversation as we walk Alec Nolan, I called him Alec, Alex Nolan. We got an Alex and an Alec. The one thing that we will say right here, let's take a look at a replay kit that we've got here for you a little bit earlier today, and we'll try to set this one up for you. This was Grant Townsend, and there were great moments in this game for Townsend. 5 strikeouts in this game. So even though he gave up 4 runs and he left a couple on, Townsend did have his flashes of brilliance in this game, and again exits with 1 out here in the 3rd inning. A couple of moments like those caused a little bit of trouble as well. But that was the pitch that he had wanted for so long, and finally got it. First pitch who swung on and missed is Robert Perez in the box. Count goes to 0-1.
The pride of Burlington.
More than just factory outlets.
I love that place. I love that city.
Yeah, the old coat factory, they got them all. No balls and 1 strike. Little roller, and unfortunately it's going to bleed into right field, and that's going to cash in run number 5, and it's going to be first to third for Trent Tingelstad. And you know, that's a tough break, as the ground ball that the Canadians so coveted they got, but it was just that perfect seed-eye single that goes into right field, and by the time Ramos comes all the way in to get it, wouldn't you know it, Frick had touched home plate. Tingelstad was hauling for third, and Perez was getting a fist bump from his coach over at first base. So it is now 5-0 for the Everett Aquasox. And the Canadians got a little bit of work to do here in this baseball game.
Sometimes that's just the way baseball goes. Make the perfect pitch and ball finds a hole.
The pitch low and away to Cash Gladfelter. You talk about good names. They've got a Utah, a Cesar, and a Cash. It's not bad. It sounds like a Bandit movie in the making. Nolan likes to work quick. There's a pitch in for a strike. The count goes to 1-1. Long way from Brock University. Tonight he finds himself in Vancouver, the only Canadian, the only kid with a Canadian passport in his back pocket. The pitch in for a strike. A breaking ball that catches the outer third, and now the count to 1-2.
I love his makeup. You can just tell he wants it bad, and you can never go wrong when you have a kid like that on your pitching staff, whether it's in the bullpen or as a starter. That's the kind of guys you want to build around.
Absolutely. And the ATM does not spit out any money for Cash this time. It's a strikeout, the second one of this game. Strikeout number 6 for the Canadians as a whole. But more than anything, that leaves runners at first and third, and it produces the second out. And it brings up Carter Vince, who walked and scored back in the second. Here's another one for Ask Ricky. Hey, Ricky, when did broadcasting, this one coming from Bob Cobb at Nux787, a very popular Twitter handle. When did broadcasting begin to interest you, and how far are you interested in taking it? Runner breaking for second. He's going to get there as the ball scoots away from Clark.
I'm going to do it as far as it takes me. I really don't know, but honestly, I never really thought I'd be up in a booth calling a game. It was just, the idea was brought up to me, and I said, okay, my wife has a little bit of TV experience. I asked her, what do you think? She's like, you're the perfect guy to do it. And that's kind of how it started. And obviously, you and Andy wanting me to work here with you guys was just the icing on the cake for me.
Well, you do your podcast, Let's Go Ricky Rowe.
That's right.
Which I'm totally down with. Mark Gubazar, right? The other day?
Yeah, we had him.
There's a ball that's ripped but foul, and boy, that one was stung. Luckily, it's to the left of the third base line, and it is simply 2 balls and 1 strike.
And that one, he was telling Bo Jackson stories, so it was, if you get a chance, take a listen. It's Let's Go Ricky Rowe. It's on iTunes, on Spotify. It's everywhere now. So, and that one we filmed out of the dugout too, so
which is really cool.
Really cool, yeah, because you had players dropping in, saying a few words here and there.
And the ball fouled off 2-2. I'll tell you my Bo Jackson story. My first of 2 children, I got to name him Nolan Ryan, and so all's well. My next kid comes out as a female, and I said, well, I'd love to name her Bo Jackson, and that was enough. I got the one. That was it. I was going to spell it B-E-A-U. And it said Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
Let's just say that didn't stay on the table for very long. 2-2. He's a ball out towards the middle of the infield. It goes right through the wickets. 1 run scores. Throw's going to be off the mark, and all of a sudden you've got yourself a 7-0 game. Carter Binns safely at a second. And right now the Everett Aquasox are taking the Canadians to task. 2 more runs come in, and all of a sudden you got yourself a 7-0 lead for the Everett Aquasox. First time on any of our broadcasts that we've seen a lopsided score. They've always been tightly contested, but now the Canadians aren't looking at a molehill. They're looking at a bit of a mountain here if they're going to try and get back into this game. So now runner at second with 2 outs. Pitch in for a strike. This one coming from a Twitter account that I don't even know how to say it. What's your thoughts, Ricky, on the Jays letting the young players run the locker room or the clubhouse? Pitch in for a strike, and the count goes to 1-1. Let me preface that by saying, I think right now the clubhouse is probably Justin Smokes. But I think that if Smoke was to leave or whatever, that Kevin Biggio would be next in line.
You can just see, and I don't know him personally, but you can just see the way he carries himself on the field, in the bench. He's like really fiery. And you mix that in with the Vladdy, the Bichette, with the Gurriel, and I think it's a perfect mix. And I think this is what Shapiro and Atkins are trying to do is, all right, let's build this thing from scratch. Let all the young guys come in together and kind of take over this leadership in the clubhouse. And it's working for them right now. It's fun to watch them. So hopefully they just continue to build and get better more than anything. And like I said, the future is definitely bright for them, and they're entertaining to watch. And you can just tell they're going out there and having fun. That's the biggest thing.
Well, they got nothing to lose, which is the beauty of it. 2-2 on its way. He's a little bit inside, and the count goes to 3-2 to Miguel Perez, who struck out back in the second inning. One of 5 strikeouts that Grant Townsend got on his watch. Three-2. Swing and a miss, got him. So Nolan comes in and strikes out 2, but unfortunately a couple of base hits allowed a few more runs to score, and all of a sudden you look up at the old manually operated scoreboard in center field, and Everett, as we head to the bottom of the third, has a 7-0 lead on the Canadians. Work to do for those guys. There's a young guy putting in the next number. We'll take our break here. When we come back, we'll see if the Canadians can begin to claw back from this 7-run deficit as you watch A&W Canadians baseball, and you're doing it right here on the home of the Canadians, Sportsnet Pacific.